that Andrew Tate seems to be suffering some sort of mental breakdown roughly 2 weeks into his jail sentence that will likely span for years, potentially even decades. Andrew Tate, along with his lawyer Joseph McBride, are desperately trying to stop Tate's extradition to the United Kingdom for sex trafficking, human trafficking, rape, and CP charges. Tristan Tate, Andrew's brother, is rather quiet throughout all of this.
College.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ooh, homemade applesauce. Ew, I hate applesauce. Um, nah. What a week, what a weekend. Lots of dancing. I did lots and lots of dancing, met lots of people, made lots of friends. Uh, uh, but we come back down to reality, and here we are. We have just the Republican Party imploding on it and on itself. The party of conservative family values, protecting Andrew Tate, protecting Max Miller, protecting Donald Trump. Like really disturbing stuff, and I'm just like, how do we get over these deplorable people? What do we do with the people who what are we doing with these people who are accepting the abuse the abusive people just because they're in a political party? What do we do with those people? The 30%, the 27 to 30% who still would vote for a Republican even if they have an assault or domestic violence conviction. What do we do with these people? I think talking about it more. I think talking about it more, making it not not sweeping it under the rug, being more open about these discussions, even though they're uncomfortable discussions. Um, I think that's where we have to start, and then yeah, just keeping the light there, keeping everyone honest. All right, so let's talk about the Tate brothers and what's happening in this saga.
In Florida right now. One allegation against his son, and his son's life is over.
Andrew Tate's lawyer is clearly threatening Marco Rubio's son. Alright everybody, I'm popping in really quickly with the news that Andrew Tate seems to be suffering some sort of mental breakdown roughly 2 weeks into his jail sentence that will likely span for years, potentially even decades. Andrew Tate, along with his lawyer Joseph McBride, are desperately trying to stop Tate's extradition to the United Kingdom for sex trafficking, human trafficking, rape, and CP charges. Tristan Tate, Andrew's brother, is rather quiet throughout all of this, but Joseph McBride, along with Andrew Tate, seem to be desperately trying to threaten members of the Trump administration with blackmail or with withholding their support and trying to, lose them voters. It's all a very desperate bid to appeal to the Trump administration and ask them to do what they did about a year ago. Back in January, February of 2025, Trump got into power and he helped stall the investigation into the Tate brothers in Romania, dropped the travel ban, and then they were able to travel over to Miami. Roughly 1 year later, they have now been fully arrested and are set to be extradited because the evidence is so overwhelming. Let me run you through how we got here, and let me introduce you to this new character named Joseph McBride. This is Andrew Tate's lead lawyer, the lead lawyer for both Tate brothers, and let me tell you, this guy is more of a clown.
Scummy lawyer.
Than Andrew Tate. I mean, they hired like a Temu version of Andrew Tate, somebody that looks kind of similar, but his eyebrows look very fake. And he basically goes on all these manosphere podcasts while representing the Tate brothers in this case and threatens people and talks tough and tries to do some very just unprofessional, odd maneuvering on these podcasts. And I'll show you in just one moment the way that he talks about Marco Rubio, who is the current Secretary of State, and the way that he talks about other Trump admin officials. I mean, he is a complete clown. But let me update you with what's going on with Andrew Tate. After spending days crying and shitting his pants in jail, now Andrew Tate is being haunted by the ghost of his abusive father. It's been a bit over a week, this was a few days ago. How will he handle decades in jail if convicted? The reporting is, if he's extradited to the UK, he could face 20 years. And then after he faces those 20 years, he could be extradited to Romania, where he could face even more time for the charges there. If he gets extradited to the UK and he's found to be not guilty, he'll immediately be extradited to Romania to be tried again. So he's going to be cooked either way. So Andrew Tate said, "We walk back and forth in the cell together all day long. I haven't heard him so clearly in years. He's been in here since the day I arrived, and Dad tells me to never give up." So his abusive father is visiting him after he was arrested along with his brother in Miami on sex trafficking charges. He was then hauled over to a Miami detention center where he's been held for a few days, and even out this facility he has some fans protesting. Now in his mind he thinks it's like hundreds of fans, but it's literally one guy holding a wet sign and his friend who doesn't seem to want to be there but who, is holding the camera. Take a look at this.
Checking the sign, guys. Shall we do push-ups in the rain? That's a good idea. Push-ups in the rain?
Push-ups in the rain for the Tate brothers?
Let's get it.
Bro, how fucking embarrassing. Not very good push-ups.
This is so sick, bro. What a badass. Bro, get a job. Why are you outside Andrew Tate's detention facility while he eerily looks out?
He's doing a keto. He's doing a keto. No.
That is Andrew Tate right there. He's watching us record
Definitely
this video,
not.
and nobody's gonna offer this perspective that we're gonna offer. And Andrew Tate's the only one that's gonna understand it, and he's gonna take our advice, and he will fly us out and have a meeting and a podcast with us. Mark,
What?
Bro, these are supposed to be
Oh
alpha
my
males. They want
god,
Andrew
sure,
Tate to fly them
bro,
out
sure.
for a meeting? You want
That's
another guy to fly
crazy.
you out? I mean, who's gonna tell him? Who's going to tell these guys that Andrew Tate is probably not going to be getting out of this jail? If he does get out of jail, it's going to be in a different country, in a different decade. To continue, Andrew Tate then tweeted out, "For the people holding the signs outside the jail, it's very high up here, and the smaller signs are hard to read, but I can feel every word. Thank you." And then a community note got slapped on this. It said, "There was only one person outside the jail today with a sign." That is brutal. People are also wondering, how is Andrew Tate tweeting this? It's not actually him. The most likely scenario is that he has a team with a bunch of weird backup prompts that they can send out, and then he communicates with his lawyer on a daily basis as he can, and then they use that to craft these things because social media is very important to him. Andrew Tate reported by Right Wing Cope. Andrew Tate is currently uncontrollably shitting himself while stuck in solitary confinement. He wrote this post about how he's getting persistent stomach problems, again, filtered through his entire team. Now we enter Joseph McBride. Joseph McBride is the bumbling, dumbass lawyer that wants to be Andrew Tate so incredibly badly that he's using this as an opportunity to boost his own career and go on all these manosphere right-wing podcasts and just pretend to be Andrew Tate. This is that dumb pose that Tate does all the time with his hands together that even Sneeko tries to copy.
The whole internet has seen the video that I made. It's going viral across the whole internet right now.
Oh my god, he can't even talk straight. Like, one of the reasons Andrew Tate appeals to people is because he's very assertive and can string 2 to 3 sentences along. This guy can't even string 2 sentences. He has to repeat the same thing twice.
Now, how did that come about? Not from me. That came about from the Lord. The same way I am now standing
Who cropped this video?
here with Andrew Tate's lawyer. I want to ask you, brother, are you guys fighting the most evil and most powerful people in the world right now?
There is no question about it. This is a fight. This is the eternal fight of good versus evil. This is the oldest fight in the book.
I think he is right, but they are the evil doers. And this is like best trick that they told you was that the devil doesn't exist. Nah, the devil exists. He's just wearing loafers and a fucking $1 million watch.
Fight in all of creative history. It is the synagogue of Satan. It is the church of evil. It is the secular, humanistic, anti-God church that tells you...
Bro, I am losing brain cells. You are defending somebody who's being accused of human trafficking and who has admitted to doing this multiple times on camera. This entire team, both Andrew Tate and his lawyers, seem to be going through some sort of manic breakdown over the tension of them possibly being extradited, because Tate himself just posted again, "Me, one day we will be glad this happened. Tristan, everybody knows we're innocent. We went down as heroes. More importantly, we went down together. Best thing ever, I'm glad it happened. Don't ever try to reassure me again." Dude, this entire team is going through some sort of mental manic meltdown. Andrew Tate is walking back and forth in his jail cell and communicating with his dad, while his lawyer threatens members of the Trump admin and appeals to the Bible. By the way, I don't ever want to hear somebody quote the Lord in the same breath that they're defending Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate has openly admitted to preying on women, manipulating them in their weakest moments.
Girls and women. Like, he's open about going after 16, 17, 17 year olds when he's in the countries that allow that. Like, 16 and 17 are the the age of consent in the countries that he's from.
Isolating them from their family. He has bragged about this. He has sold courses about how to manipulate women, isolate them from their family, try to usher them into sex work, then collect all of the profits while lying to them and maybe giving them like a 10% cut while claiming they're getting a 70% cut. He has talked about all of this on camera before. By the way, if you appreciate these videos on the Adam Mockler feed, make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe. I'm currently on vacation and it's wrapping up here, but it's very hard to make and upload these videos when I'm traveling because the Wi-Fi is very slow, my equipment is a little bit weaker. I appreciate each and every single one of you that has my back every single day. Thank you guys for supporting the vacation videos. I will always have your back as well. To continue, Andrew Tate's lawyer bumbles on more.
You that a man can't be a man, a woman can't be a woman, people shouldn't get married, and you should sacrifice your babies to God knows what.
Yes.
This is evil, hardcore bona fide evil that we're fighting against, and Andrew and Tristan Tate are two generals in that war.
Yeah.
Look at my lawyer, dog. I'm cooked. If that's my lawyer, I am cooked. He seems to be in some sort of manic episode, and it gets even worse. He then goes on Sean Mike Kelly's podcast, who's a friend of the show on the left, and he just begins to say some flat out lies, and it kind of threatens Rubio.
Yeah, I wish it was on better terms, man. Was this totally unexpected for you when you got the call about all this?
Completely unexpected. Andrew and Tristan have been traveling the world for 3 years without incidents.
What?
I mean, That's just a complete lie. It is a complete lie. I wrote a Twitter thread about this, and this is very important. A very important piece of the story. Breaking. Leaked Andrew Tate texts are looking very bad for the Trump admin. Texts from Andrew Tate revealed that a Trump administration official directly intervened on the Tate brothers' behalf in early 2025 to stall the sex trafficking investigation. Quote, I had word from the Trump admin that they're on top of things, wrote Andrew Tate via text. Tate's former lawyer, Paul Ingrassia, is now a Trump admin official. You may remember Paul Ingrassia from his leaked text last year in which he said he has a Nazi streak and uses old slurs. He then used his position of power to lobby for the Tate brothers to be freed like a year ago, and that is why they have such high expectations today and why they are demanding to be released. JD Vance still follows the Tate brothers on Twitter. Barron is friends with him. All of this happens after Andrew admitted to being a pimp on camera. This is the Republican Party now. I'm a young dude who loves America and hates seeing it hijacked by these hateful, abusive degenerates. The Tate brothers, the people around them, the people in the Trump admin that enable them. It is all despicable, and it's all an orgy of corruption, of abuse, and the way that Barron Trump, Paul Ingrassia,
Orgy.
JD Vance, all of these people continue to try to cover for the Tate brothers is despicable. So then, Andrew Tate's lawyer, Joe McBride, NYC, apparently, that's his law firm, begins to go on an absolute mental breakdown on Twitter at 3 a.m. this morning, August 2nd.
We definitely are morally superior to Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate. We didn't openly record ourselves admitting to being sex traffickers, and we didn't start a school about how other men can become sex traffickers of women and girls. That was all them. Like, it's all, bro. ABBA and Preach put together the best fucking clips. Like, literally 20, 30 clips of them just like, oh yeah, you know, you just get them young, you fly them away from their home country, and you make them start selling themselves on the internet for you. Take 80% of their income, give them the 20%, and they never leave you.
At the time of
It's
recording
disgusting.
this, I'm recording this at about 9 a.m. So he was up at 3 a.m. having a manic meltdown because the pressure of his main clients getting extradited is probably hitting him, and he seems to be mentally unstable in the first place. I can't lie.
Yes. And you have here a Christian and a Muslim standing together in unity, just like the.
I bet you he didn't know he was a Muslim. I bet you he didn't. Oh my goodness, bro. How a Christian and a Muslim standing up for a sex trafficker? That's crazy. That's wild. Like, you're gonna use your religion to stand up for a trafficker? Oh Lord. I do think you're reading the wrong parts of the Bible, maybe misinterpreting some parts too, but definitely not something Jesus would be advocating for. Forgiveness, yes, definitely. But not something to say, no, this is wrong. No.
Brothers, stop the division. The people, now you have to take action. This is the time. When you see right or wrong.
What is going on here? Do they collect the dumbest people in all of Florida and just kind of pile them up around this building? This is like the dumbest shit I have ever seen.
We got a Muslim up there, and we got a practicing Orthodox Christian up here. And right here, you got a practicing Catholic, and you got a practicing Muslim right here. And that's...
Bro, he sounds like never mind, it's so bad. But Andrew Tate pushes for the same far-right ideology that tries to hurt the type of pluralistic, harmonious society that they are currently acting like they support. These guys do not support a society of harmony amongst different individuals. They want to be in power and abuse the most vulnerable. They are just pretending to do so in a really sloppy way. But back to the lawyer, who is clearly having an equally bad, if not worse, mental breakdown than Andrew Tate himself. Joe McBride says, so many of you claim to be morally superior to Andrew and Tristan Tate.
We are.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say everybody watching this is, including me. We don't human traffic or sex
Definitely
traffic.
aren't.
But in your disagreement, you've displayed a level of malice and hatred that's bona fide evil. Shut the F up, you say. I am glad to see them suffer, you say. Lock them up and throw away the key. I inject their pain into my veins, you say. Andrew and Tristan have a response. God bless you. God forgive you. God love you. What the fuck? Andrew Tate has spent the past year over and
That's
over
good
and
shit.
over bragging about how he's never going to be arrested again. His lawyer is then going on and threatening Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. You guys are literally trying to use blackmail. By the way, I don't ever want to see anybody, just in pain and suffering in prison. On the Adam Mockler show, we actually have a human dignity-based value system.
They're going to religion and Jesus. It's like the far right get out of jail free card. It's like, oh, Jesus saved me. Like, I'm saved by Jesus. I'm forgiven by Jesus. Therefore, I am innocent. That's not how it works. That's definitely not how that works.
Aqua Teen, Hunger Force. Master Shake went on the Sean Hannity program last night. And what's really
My religion, my Catholicism is I will go and meet my judgment by Jesus, and he'll judge me if I'm worthy to go to heaven or if I have to go spend time in purgatory. Atone for my sins, and then go to heaven. I think that's more likely.
interesting about it is that Sean Hannity, once again, talks about me every night now. It's kind of unbelievable. This time, Sean brought friend of the show, Mark Levin. And Mark Levin was crying, dude.
Spiritual leader of the Democratic Party, far-left extremist Hassan Piker is now touting an anti-Israel litmus test for any Democrat with 2028 presidential aspirations. Take a look at these
Dude, it's awesome. You call me the spiritual leader of the Democratic Party?
really repulsive and disgusting remarks.
Will you endorse the 2028 candidate if they are pro-Israel in a way that you don't like? If you ultimately are about defeating fascism in this country as you describe it, surely shouldn't you get on board with whoever the main candidate is?
Luckily, I don't think I will have to make that calculation at all, because there is 0% chance that whoever the elected Democrat is that wins the primary will be pro-Israel in any way, shape, or form. You'll see.
Yep.
Disgusting. That is disgusting. Dude,
How is that not a winning message? How's that not what Trump won on? America first, right? Make America great again. No more foreign aid. U.S. aid, gone. Dunzo. Kaput. But how dare a Democrat say that we will not be supporting Israel? Like, what? How is that? I don't get. I don't understand how we can be in a place that wants to cut off foreign aid but still fund Israel, a foreign country. That's stupid. If Israel has a right to exist, they have a right to exist without my money, too.
I love this. This is so good. This is far better promo than the Democratic Party deserves. I'm telling you right now, the Democrats do not deserve this much praise. They do not deserve this association. They haven't done enough to deserve this kind of promotional material. This is the equivalence of like Fox News being like, the next Democratic candidate that runs for president is going to be America first. The next Democratic candidate will be truly America first. Or This is Fox News basically cutting promo for the Democratic Party by putting a clip of me saying the next Democratic candidate will be unconditionally pro working class, unconditionally pro Medicare for all. Like, this is an incredible promo, a promotional tool that the Democrats don't really deserve, if I'm honest. They haven't shown that they deserve this kind of promo yet, but f it, why not?
Here with reaction, the host of Life, Liberty, and Levin, and of course his own nationally syndicated radio host. Of course, he's here on the Fox News channel. I call him the Great One, Mark Levin. Mark, this is a guy that blamed America for 9/11/01. There is 0% chance any 2028
9/11/01? What the I've never heard someone refer to 9/11 as 9/11/01. Has there been a 9/11/2? What does Sean Hannity know? Is there gonna be a 9/11/2? Has there been a 9/11/2? Why is he specifying which 9/11 it is? I guess maybe he means he's actually a Noam Chomsky head, Sean Hannity. He's like, yeah, the real 9/11 was actually the one that took place in Chile, the Allende coup. That was the real 9/11. This is the second 9/11, so he had to specify. He's like, 9/11/01.
A Democratic nominee will be pro-Israel. Now, if that's not anti-Semitic bigotry.
Man, Sean Hannity, you're not even Jewish and you're calling him anti-Semitic for saying we're not going to have a pro-Israel president in 2028? I don't understand. That's like saying we're not going to have a pro-pork president or we're going to have a pro-pork president of the president of the Beef Association. That don't make no sense. That don't make any sense. Why would we have a pro-pork president of the beef associations?
Institutionalized in a party.
Dude, it's so awesome. They have to be woke. They have to be so woke in a way that is repulsive for the average Fox News watcher, okay? This idea that you ran on America first and anti-DEI, and now you have to flip the script and be like, no, Israel first, and also we're anti-DEI except for Israel, is hilarious. He is so they're so woke, dude. Oh, it's awesome. It's hilarious. They flipped the script. They took some of the worst instincts of the Democratic Party that they had successfully opposed, won an election on opposing, and are now flipping it, not realizing how this looks to the average person, even in their own base. It is awesome. I need to see what the comments look like. Usually these are botted into oblivion. Why you give him so much priority if he's so low? Hassan is 2 weeks away from developing nuclear weapon. So good I had to watch it twice. Shocking. You know you're doing something right when both parties hate you. These folks are trying to bring war to our shores. Division is real. Vote them out of government. They're stirring strife.
Nice.
Democrats are made up of America haters, nothing more. Stop giving the low-life airtime. Didn't Hannity agree to have Hassan on a show and then back out?
Yep.
I believe Mar Levin. They are scared. Calling Piker a lowlife is insult to real lowlifes. Piker is lower than that. It's just pure evil. I will be the first person to vote for Hassan if he runs. I need you guys to understand something, okay? Like, even this comment in and of itself, like, what a lowlife he is. How disgusting. I can't believe he said the Democratic frontrunner that makes it out of the primaries will be anti-Israel or won't be pro-Israel. Substitute Israel for any other country. The Democratic Party frontrunner.
Yeah, right? Be like, I can't believe the Democratic frontrunner for president in 2028 will not be pro-Cuba. They would lose their fucking mind. Oh my god. They're not even news broadcasters anymore. They're not even opinion broadcasters anymore. They're fucking propaganda mouthpieces. You can't, but it works on people. It works. We're at 20 or 30% of people are still like, yeah, you're right. I can't believe these Democrats. They're so anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic.
That wins the primaries will not be pro Estonia in any way, shape, or form. Motherfuckers be like, okay, I don't care. Literally, take Israel out and put any other country, pro Canada, pro Mexico. Would anybody turn around and go, wow, this is the worst thing I've ever heard? It doesn't make any sense. This is a principled America First message from the news network that propagandized an America First message.
I don't know what is. Your thoughts?
You know, this guy is, well, we're on cable TV. I gotta watch it. He's a real low life.
Bro, he's crying. He cried.
Life.
He crowed.
You know, it's a funny thing. This guy Puker, he doesn't condemn
Puker. Oh my God.
Communist China. In fact, he says Mao was the greatest man to ever walk the planet.
I wonder how much that fucking pin is on his shoulder. The elephant pin on his jacket. That looks like real glitz. I'm saying 50 to 70,000, 75,000.
Planet. Right now, Communist China has about 2 million Uyghurs, Muslims, in internment camps where they're being raped, tortured, enslaved, and murdered.
Not. I find it very funny to hear Mark Levin, pro-Israel Mark Levin, pro-genocide Mark Levin, turning around and acting like he gives a single solitary shred of a fuck about not only Muslims, but this time Muslims in China. This motherfucker is not concerned about Chinese people and their welfare, and he's certainly not concerned about the Muslim welfare anywhere around the world. So what's the expectation? You don't like Muslims, you don't like the Chinese, but now I'm supposed to assume you care about Chinese Muslims?
He says nothing. In Yemen, which is 99% Muslim, 150,000 Muslims have been starved to death and murdered.
Wait, yeah, Saudi Arabia did that, bro. What the hell? The Saudi UAE coalition forces did that. Plus, you've called out China on the repression of Uyghurs. What the yeah, but none of these guys care, obviously. None of these guys.
What are they trying to list off here? I don't get it.
Care about any of that, including bringing up Yemen. These are all things that I've covered. These are all things that I've obviously. These are things that I've offered critical coverage to. Why did you say there was a genocide in Xinjiang? I said there was a cultural genocide in Xinjiang, and I do still think that there is one in the form of re-education camps, mass surveillance, and gross human rights violations. So it's really funny that these guys only deploy these talking points when it doesn't even make sense when you're deploying it against me. But they only bring this stuff up to be like, oh, this, I bet you love not talking about the 100,000 Yemeni that starved to death. Who did that?
In the Syrian civil war, 580,000 Muslims were killed.
Again,
in this low
classic. Again, offered critical coverage on that as well.
Life says nothing about any of it. He is obsessed with Jews.
I mean, Israel is the one killing thousands of people every day right now. I mean, if they want us to stop talking about it, you know, they could just stop killing them too. Like, that's always an option. Stop. Don't do that. Pull back. That's always an option. Pull out is always it's usually the better option.
Like, I've written about it. It's on Huffington Post. You can still find my old articles from back in the day talking about the Syrian civil war, talking about Yemen, talking about our involvement in both of these issues, in both of these crises.
In Israel, he's obsessed with America. And by obsessed, I mean he hates us. He hates this.
What do you mean, us? Bitch, I'm American. I'm American. What are you talking about? Of course I'm obsessed with America. I'm an American citizen. I'm an American taxpayer. Of course I care about where that taxpayer goes, where those tax dollars go.
Country. He hates the citizens of this country. He hates the Israelis. He hates Jews. You know, he was raised in Turkey. You know, Turkey, the country that's run by our dear friend Erdogan, who's a...
And then he just gets like weirdly racial with it. He's like, he's Turkish. Of course he hates Jews. He's Turkish. Like, I don't. That's also ridiculous.
Another Jew hater, an Israel hater, and so forth and so on. And he ought to go back to Turkey. I'm really troubled by the fact that we have people coming into this country, or coming back to this country, that hate it so much and spew their poison left and right. I don't know how this guy gets a platform. I don't know how anybody pays to give him a platform. He's not intelligent. He's just...
It is kind of crazy that, like, so much commentary in the American news sphere, in the American media, is just made up.
Yep.
And it's not...
Like, literally, they're like, oh, yeah, he needs to go back to where he comes from and all that shit. It's like, yeah, he was born in Jersey. He's in New Jersey. A kid. Yeah, you want to send him back to Jersey? He does live in California, so that is something you could look at forcing him to go to New Jersey. That would be a downgrade for him, 100%.
Not even just like on Fox News. Obviously, if you've been in here long enough, if you're like even somewhat familiar with my commentary, you know immediately that they're lying, right? But it is wild. Like, there are no editorial standards that remain. I don't think this is a good thing, man. I feel like we gotta have a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not doing like civility politics, but like I wish that we had maybe a little bit of investment in truth and a little bit of investment in accuracy in our coverage. That would be nice. It's not lost upon me that those who are primarily invested in defending Israel will oftentimes say Israel's the only country that's not doing genocide, and it's all of these other countries that are. And even if that was the case, that still wouldn't, be an effective defense against Israel nonetheless. But I find it rather strange. Every other country is doing this except for Israel is, kind of silly.
Just a thug. He's just another Jew hater. And you can find them anywhere. You can find them on the street. You can find them anywhere. So this guy gets paid a fortune because he's a Jew hater. Now, as far as the Democrat Party goes, I hate to say this, he's not that far off the mark.
Democrats will hear Mark Levin do this commentary and be like, beast mode, I totally agree with you. Let's get this Hassan guy out of here, Mark. Not the biggest fan of Mark Levin, but I'm really beginning to like what he has to say. Of course, the average Democratic voter hears this and goes, okay, I like this Hassan guy now. If he's making this dickhead, who I despise, this bald fascist piece of cry real tears, then guess what? Maybe this Hassan guy ain't that bad. Democratic Party consultants, on the other hand, will hear this and go, wow, this Mark Levin guy is growing on me. Yet another point of divergence where the base is totally living in a different reality, our shared consensus reality, whereas the DC elites, the consultants, the right-wing Democrats, the right-wing flank, the establishment Democrats are living in a totally alternative reality.
Is led by individuals who are Israel haters.
Keep leaning into
Israel
this.
haters, you have to be a Jew hater. It's the only Jewish state that exists. Now, they like to say, well, we don't hate Jews, it's just Israel. Well, that's like saying we don't hate Catholics, we just hate the Vatican. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, that makes perfect sense. The Vatican, especially back in the 80s when this fucking guy was coming up, when it came out with the Vatican was protecting all those child molesters. Are you fucking kidding me? It's like, yeah, I would be like, yeah, I hate the Vatican for protecting all those child molesters. What the fuck? Does that mean I hate every Catholic? No, that means I hate the fucking Vatican. Are you fucking stupid? They are making anti-Semitism worse. They are the ones that are promoting anti-Semitism. They are putting Jewish people's lives in danger. Like, for fuck's sake.
No, it doesn't. So that some of them try and camouflage their Jew hatred. This guy's out of the closet in many ways. He is what he is. But you have the guys like Van Hollen. You've got guys like Bernie Sanders. You've got people like that in the House. You've got a whole phalanx of Jew haters and American haters. Every single one of the Jew haters, every single one of the Israel haters hate America. Have you noticed that? And they trash our country as much as they trash Israel. Because Israel and America have things in common. A democracy, representative government, consent of the people. What else do we have? The belief in the Judeo-Christian value system and belief system.
Yeah.
We embrace the Enlightenment.
And the beauty is, of course, all of the American tax dollars, a good chunk of the American tax dollars are now being deployed in the direction of Israel's foreign policy. You know, we have a lot of things in common. Get back to work, Americans, so you can pay your taxes, so we can fund our military, so that Israel can use it like a mercenary force against whichever enemy they have. Great stuff, man.
Israel embraces the Enlightenment. We do not embrace the ideology of jihadi Islamists. We do not embrace the ideology of Marxists. And that is the modern-day Democrat Party, Marxist Islamists. And that is the modern-day ideology of the Democrat Party. So,
yeah, we're doing Marxist Islamism in America. That's, you know, Medicare for all, no more wars, spend America first, peace ticket, rebuild the American industrial base. These are all, you know, Islamo-communist takes. Yeah, I don't think this shit's gonna work, especially considering that there aren't that many Muslims, man. That's it. That's a big part of the problem for these guys. It's not like there's a significant amount of like Muslim migration into the country. There are certain areas like Dearborn, maybe Hamtramck, you know, there are diverse neighborhoods where Muslims exist, but the average American is not like encountering a Muslim person all the time. Like there's a lot of resentment due to the war on terror, a lot of built resentment against Islam, against Muslims in general, Islamic terrorism and stuff like that. But you can't really pull the European style Islamophobia here to the same degree. European style of Islamophobia works because there's, you know, far more percentage-wise, there's a larger percentage of Muslim migrants that live in European countries where this kind of Islamo-communism, Islamo-Gauchism is deployed as a mechanism to win elections.
Get this from Puker. He is a lowlife. That's exactly what he is. And by the way, there are many like him. Many like him. He's not talented. He's just a vile.
I think he's a little talented. I don't think he's vile. I think he actually has a pretty good message. I don't like everything he says, obviously, but he's not a cult leader. You know, he wants people to just have critical thinking skills. He wants people to be involved. He wants people to be active, be knowledgeable in our politics, because our politics are sending our politics are sending money for bombs and bullets to foreign countries. Like, fuck me. How about we just not do that? That is always the option. Just not do that. We could just not do that, bro.
Poisonous human being. Well, he's a vile, poisonous person anyway. Yeah.
Well, what about the deafening silence of the rest of the party? I mean, they take Mamdani's wife. They won't say a word. The AOC, the squad, there is among men.
AOC, she needs a squad. Well, AOC, Rashid, oh, this new woman, what's her name? De La Cruz, is that De La Cruz? I think so.
Virulent anti-Semitism. They don't hide it. You know,
I don't think Yeah, I don't think it's anti-Semitism. Being anti-Israel isn't being anti-Jewish.
They have now, what he's stating on their behalf is he will institutionalize a litmus test against Jewish people. You know, does that mean Josh Shapiro could never be their nominee? Does that mean he has no shot because he's Jewish and I would assume supports Israel? John Fetterman?
Well, you know, Josh Shapiro has his own problems as far as I'm concerned. He's not as moderate as he pretends
Fetterman is about to get removed.
to be. But you're right, he's off the list. He's Jewish. But it's not just Jewish. It's also going to be evangelical Christians. It's going to be people of faith, a faith that is based in our founding in this country.
Yeah. John Fetterman, who is Jewish. Jewish John Fetterman. He backed out of calling you a human being. Okay, I got to run it back.
Be their nominee? Does that mean he has no shot because he's Jewish? And what he's stating on their behalf is he will institutionalize a litmus test against Jewish people. You know, does that mean Josh Shapiro could never be their nominee? Does that mean...
I mean, here's the thing. Someone being Jewish, at least by my estimation, I know these guys are going to not believe me, and it's unforeseeable, even though it is very foreseeable, considering Mark Levin brought up Bernie Sanders as a prime anti-Semite. He literally said Bernie Sanders is a Jew hater. Now they're saying, oh, if someone's Jewish and they're running for president, they're of course going to be pro-Israel. So which is it? Because it seems like you understand when someone is Jewish, but is very critical of the relationship that America has with Israel. Bernie Sanders is a Jew hater. He doesn't want any Jews to run for office. He's like, the one candidate that I backed over and over again happens to be Jewish. Bernie Sanders.
He has no shot because he's Jewish and I would assume supports Israel? John Fetterman?
I love this world, man. I love the universe that we exist in where you're...
I don't. I think we could be doing so much better. Just like, imagine a universe where Bernie Sanders got elected.
Judaism
instead of Trump
is no longer matrilineal.
As I always joke, I'm Jew-ish. Right?
Being Jewish is no longer cultural. It's no longer a matrilineal heritage thing. It's no longer an ethnicity. It's no longer even a religion. It's just how much do you support Israel? The more you support Israel, the more Jewish you are. And John Fetterman, basically Orthodox. Okay? And ironically enough, the ultra-Orthodox Neturei Karta, not Jewish. Bernie Sanders, no longer Jewish. Brad Lander, not Jewish. John Fetterman, very Jewish. Okay, the most Jewish. Haley Stevens, Israel comes to me in my dreams. The most Jewish you can be. On the other hand, the entire evangelical right movement, the entire Christian evangelical movement, they're all Jewish now. And it's not even that strange. Like, I mean, Mark Levin has literally called Donald Trump the first Jewish president.
6 years ago, I was up here, and I said, this is our first Jewish president.
Three people clapped.
Now he's the first Jewish president to serve two not consecutive presidencies. We thank you for everything.
Not consecutive.
He sincerely...
He said not consecutive because he wants them to run again.
Believes it. It is wild. This is the same party that, in my opinion, correctly made fun of Joe Biden for saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. They were on the money. They were correct in their jokes at the time.
Well, you know, Josh Shapiro has his own problems as far as I'm concerned. He's not as moderate as he pretends to be. But you're right, he's off the list. He's Jewish. But it's not just Jewish. It's also going to be evangelical Christians. It's going to be people of faith, a faith that is based in our founding in this country, that serves as the underpinning of our institutions. Remember, these same people, many of them, the Democrats.
Were there any Jewish people who signed the Constitution? No. That's funny. That's funny that came up. No, none of the primary traditional founding fathers, they came from the Christian backgrounds. I mean, I believe it. Oh no! I didn't want to close that.
Democrats, just like the Democratic Socialists of America, the Marxists, they oppose the Supreme Court. They trash the presidency. They attack the Electoral College. They attack the Senate. The Democrats want 4 more Democrats. The Marxists want to get rid of the Senate altogether. They want to rejigger this.
Is Mark Levin Jewish? Yeah, I mean, look at how pro-Israel he is, right? By his own estimation. Sean Hannity and Mark Levin are both Jewish now. But Mark Levin actually is Jewish. If the only standard is the more pro-Israel you are, the more Jewish you are, then yes, Sean Hannity and Mark Levin, both Jewish. Bernard Sanders, no longer Jewish. But yes, Mark Levin actually is Jewish, not just by his own metrics.
Society, they want to rejigger human beings because that's what Islamists and that's what Marxists want to do. So they have a lot in common. Now, who stands up to this? What is the oldest religion, Abrahamic religion that exists? Judaism. What's the second one? Christianity. So Judaism and Christianity.
What's the third one? We don't need to talk about it.
Christianity come under attack. Why? Because they are the bulwark against these ideologies. Marxism believes in no faith, no God. He said it was mysticism. Islamism insists that you either are a true believer to their faith, the radical Islamists, or they'll kill you. And so who stands up to this? Jews, Christians, Israel, the United States. And we are thriving, free, happy societies. And the people who speak like this guy Puker, they're angry, they are evil, and they are diabolical. And the Democrat Party buys into it the way it bought into slavery, the way it bought into segregation, the way it bought into Jim Crow.
The Democrat Party, the current party that is pro-slavery and pro-Confederacy. You know, that's how it is. Bro, it's so awesome. The Democrat Party that currently defends Jim Crow, and not our party that's trying to bring it back, and not me that's currently defending Jim Crow apartheid in Israel.
Is a un-American party, and it's always been an un-American party.
All right, the great one, Mark Levin, will be watching Life, Liberty, Levin this weekend. Mark, as always, thank you. All right, thanks.
This commentary was awesome. He went beast mode.
We begin with this morning's top story.
So y'all remember back when Megyn Kelly said that Jeffrey Epstein really wasn't a pedophile because it wasn't like he went for 7 or 8. girls. He went for more of the barely legal types. You remember that? She said that, and at the time, she had a 14-year-old daughter that she made that disgusting statement, and we talked about it here on the channel when she did. Well, now she's one-upped herself, or I should say she's one-downed herself, because MAGA has no bottom, folks, and whatever they say today that you think's the most disgusting thing you've ever heard, just wait. They'll say something. Half the time in one podcast episode of these people, you'll hear them say something so foul and so over the top, low down and disgusting, and they'll take a break and come back and say something even worse. So she's one-upped herself, or should I say one-downed herself. Now she says that Dr. Fauci hurt more people than Jeffrey Epstein ever did. Yep, she actually said that with a straight face. And MAGA will latch onto this talking point and run with it. See, they love making someone like Fauci the villain. The reason they do is because in making Fauci the villain, they make science and education the villain. It's all done on purpose. Dr. Fauci was an advisor that didn't have any power to make anyone do a damn thing. They didn't take his advice. They said that it was all just a cold, and it was all just bullshit, and it was all just a hoax. Now they're turning around saying that people died from it and it's his fault. You can't make it make sense. But the whole thing is designed to demonize science and education and to prop up pedophilia, because that's what MAGA is the party of. They're a collective of corruption that props up pedophiles. And they've been doing it for a long time. Everything they ever said to us was projection. Everything they ever said was them trying to one-up us. It's like when somebody says to you, I'm not a liar, I hate a liar. My dad always told me, if someone says, one thing I can't stand is a thief, my dad said, you better guard your wallet. If someone says, one thing I can't stand is a liar, you better believe they're about to tell you a line of bullshit. And when MAGA sat back and said, we're about protecting the children and we're about protecting people and protecting women, no, they weren't. They're the party that props up pedophiles. They always have been. And before anybody says, well, when was that, Brando? Well, they pretty much backed up and propped up the Catholic Church and the Southern Baptist youth ministers for years. Okay? They've been propping up those people for years and going to bat for them. So it's no shock that they would sit here and go to bat for Donald Trump and his pedophile billionaire friends. Now, one of the greatest clips I've seen in a while was on this one right here on Fox News, where someone actually finally had the guts to say it out loud. And immediately Fox News didn't have no more time for it, but it's epic. Take a look.
What is the number that is fine with you? Is there a benchmark? Is it fine? How many children can be raped and it's fine if you're in relation to the immigration community?
If we're going to talk about children being raped, then we need to hold this pedophile president, Donald Trump, accountable, and all those that have been implicated by the Epstein files that the Department of Justice is still not leaking. They've sent AIPAC after Thomas Massey for having the temerity to hold
Larkin,
accountable the pedophiles that are in control of our government.
Thank you. We appreciate your time very much.
Folks, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If there is a heaven and there's some sort of layers to it where you reach another layer of just like absolute pure bliss, that guy should get a top seat in heaven when this is over for that moment, because more people needs to say that. That's what we need to start calling Donald Trump every chance we get. And someone needs to really, really dig down deep somewhere in them when they're standing there asking the questions face to face and need to say it right to his face. Now, I know you're saying, Brando, he'd throw the book at him. Yeah, he probably would. But that's how Donald Trump needs to be remembered. We can't let the Megyn Kellys of the world spew this hateful, evil garbage out into the world and let MAGA pick it up that somehow or another Fauci was worse than Epstein. We can't let them do that. They sat here for years and talked about how much they cared about children and how much there was, minors on an island somewhere. Remember that douchebag that tried to rip off Tyler Childers? They've said this shit for years. They did it for years. They've made this their issue. But they've also made making Fauci the villain their issue. So they're just moving the goalposts now. And they're going to sit and tell you that a man who dedicated his life to science and medicine, who was trying to give them helpful advice during the middle of, by the way, a global pandemic, not an American one. It wasn't something that started only in America and happened only in America. It happened worldwide. Yet Dr. Fauci to them is the biggest villain. The problem is they love Donald Trump. He's their hero. He's their God. Truly, he is. He's who they bow to. I don't care if they go to a church. The church is just a front for their love for Donald Trump. But Trump has already said that he's going to honor Biden's pardon. Even though he said Biden probably did it with an auto pen, he's going to honor it. And then he can't remember. He can't remember that he's the one that gave Fauci credit. Can't remember that at all. And even old Ron DeSantis is calling bullshit on this one, and I think it's epic.
Moment to draw your attention to today, as former President Trump was left guessing when he was asked by Megyn Kelly who might have awarded Dr. Anthony Fauci a presidential commendation.
You actually gave him a presidential commendation before you left office. Wouldn't you like a do-over on that?
I don't know who gave him the commendation. I really don't know who gave him the commendation.
Presidential commendation. One went out to Mark
Somebody
Milley, too.
probably handed him a commendation.
Of course, the someone who handed Dr. Fauci and others who were involved in Operation Warp Speed vaccine efforts that commendation was former President Trump himself. You can see it here. This happened on his last full day in office, January 19th, 2021. One of his 2024 campaign rivals is not buying that he doesn't remember who did so.
Was that the immaculate commendation that just happened to happen?
I think it's hilarious how even Ron DeSantis is calling bullshit, and I heard that the Attorney General down in Florida is now trying to come up with charges for Dr. Fauci, when really, in all trueness, he should be coming up with charges for Ron DeSantis, but that's another video and another time. But it's funny how Megyn Kelly is sitting there being like, hey, wouldn't you like to walk that one back? Wouldn't you like to dial it back? Because I'm over here, I'm trying to discredit this man who spent a lifetime dedicated to science and medicine and was just trying to give people reasonable and sensible advice based on evidence during a global pandemic. I'm trying to make him the villain. And couldn't you just walk that back and help me? Because I'm trying to protect you and your pedophile buddies. That's what she's actually saying. That's really what she's saying in that clip. She's begging him to jump back on the train of running down Fauci so they can make Fauci the bad guy and normalize and same wash the Epstein files and everyone in it, including Donald Trump. But Donald Trump realizes that if he pardons, if he was to go back on this pardon, that if he was to try to go after this pardon that Biden gave Fauci, and he really tried to throw Fauci under the bus, there's several factors to this story. It's actually kind of comical because, see, in the same breath, Donald Trump tries to take credit for the pandemic and say he's the one that, got it, Operation Warp Speed. I did it quicker than anybody. He tries to take credit for the vaccine, but MAGA doesn't want him to take credit for that because they didn't believe in it. So he's trying to still take credit for something while playing to a base who wants him to discredit it completely. And he realizes that if he was to go after this pardon the way they would like for him to, then that could open the door for a future president to go after all the people that Donald Trump plans on pardoning before he leaves. And this is what we've come to. We've came to a place where Joe Biden did the right thing in giving Fauci the pardon ahead of time. He did the right thing in pardoning his son because he knew that Donald Trump was going to come after them with these witch hunts. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, there's no witch hunt. His corruption is right in front of your face. It's right out there in broad daylight. And he's going to go, wait till the end, and he will pardon everyone on his way out the door. And is that what we're going to become? Every president has to pardon everybody before they leave? Is that the nation we're going to live under? Is that what it's going to be from here on out? Is it just going to be the constant back and forth and no more voices of reason and no more getting things done? Is there ever going to come a point where we can stop all this madness and just get back to taking care of people? Or is it always going to be this type of political theater bullshit where someone like Megyn Kelly, one of the most disgusting individuals I've ever seen, when her daughter was 14, was making excuses for a pedophile and saying, well, he really wasn't one because it wasn't like that 7 or 8. And now says that Dr. Fauci was worse than Epstein. They're doing that and saying that to normalize it and same-wash it so their base will stop talking and caring about it. Now, there's a lot of people in their base that have walked away. There's a lot of people in their base that do condemn it and have walked away from it. I don't know where they're going to land politically. I have no faith that they're ever going to vote on our side. They might realize they got played, but it's not like they're going to actually come over to human rights and basic human decency. So the jury's still out on that one. But I can't imagine the level of lowdown you have to be on to hear Megyn Kelly say that after you spent years preaching against it. hear her say that, and then you just roll with it. They want to call us godless. They want to call us communist when they are the most evil people I've ever seen. Nowhere near a God if there's one up there. They're nowhere close. And that ain't me being judgmental. The Bible says you will know them by their fruits. I'm just being a fruit inspector, okay? I can look at the tree, I can look at the fruit. There's some bad fucking apples there. I can't judge it necessarily, but I can tell you that I wouldn't eat from it, okay? The most godless, evil people we have ever been up against in our lives, who backs a dictator who governs just like a communist dictator, and they love it. It's disgusting, and it should always be called out as such. And kudos to the guy that said, yeah, we have a pedo president. More people needs to say it. That needs to be his legacy. We need to work overtime to make sure that it's his legacy, and to make sure that AI doesn't erase it and turn him into some sort of hero, because he's not. In no world is Donald Trump a hero. I mean, I guess if Satan was giving out awards in the pits of hell, I mean, Trump might be one of his top soldiers, but other than that, no. In no other world would Donald Trump ever get credit for anything. So, yeah. Megyn Kelly is one that really, it's just like, people like that, then they'll sit there with Sean Ryan. It's like, we got played, we got duped. Yeah, I can't believe that happened. I'll never trust my judgment again. Yeah, we will never trust your judgment on anything, okay? If you tell us that it's about to rain, we're not going to believe you. If you tell us that we have gum on the bottom of our shoe, we're not going to believe you, okay? No, in no world will we ever trust your judgment. Most of us never trust your judgment to start with either, and we're never going to, because they just keep circling back. That's why I always tell y'all, don't get excited when Joe Rogan criticizes Trump. He just says whatever he wants to say in front of the particular guest he's in front of at that particular moment. Just plays to that person right in front of him, and then he'll go right back and circle back and get in line. And Megyn Kelly, yeah, she may say that he played her, or she'd never vote for him again or something like that, but she'll circle right back and demonize Fauci and prop up a pedophile. So that's why there's no bridge back for people. These people were never here. They were way the fuck over there. And we need to acknowledge that and understand that not everyone can be saved, okay? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but not everybody can be saved. Some have, some's came around. A good chunk of people can't, and you can't let yourself be dragged down by them. So do the best you can with your crazy conspiracy theorist uncle that spouts his bullshit and sends you all those links on Facebook that you don't want to see. Be patient with the guy, but don't look for him to come around. He was never on your side to begin with. I understand.
I don't know why we're relitigating 2020 again. Other than he's a sore loser and they need literally 2 years, Democrats haven't been able to do anything, and it's just them fucking up. So they have to go back 6 years to a fuck up? I don't understand. I think that the pandemic played out as better than, like Ebola or fucking smallpox pandemics, I think modern technology did prevent millions of lives, but that still means millions of lives were lost because of the pandemic. Yeah, I don't understand their conspiracy theories. I don't understand.
If you want to be a MAGA Republican, which I don't know why you ever would, but if you did, you have to.
I just don't know why it would still matter to people right now.
Do one thing, and that is lie shamelessly. Not just about what you believe, because if you're a MAGA Republican, by the way, now you believe nothing, but who you are. They are liars about who they are. They are vapid, empty vessels for corporations and foreign interests. That is what a MAGA Republican is, and that is all coming out right now. We know that now that Lady Lindsay is gone, the number of gay Republicans is still plentiful, apparently. That's shocking, isn't it? No, it's not, because these people are hypocrites, and the latest scandal around gay Republicans is coming to light. And it has to do with one of the more disgusting Republicans in Congress and his father-in-law. We're going to get into it all, but I want to start with someone who shed a little bit of light on this problem. That was Hunter Biden talking about all the gay Republicans.
Everybody knows there is like this closeted gay mafia, largely Republican, that exists in Washington, D.C., and everybody knows every single one of them who's gay. And so it's, and what I believe, the only reason that is relevant is because I believe that internal conflict creates so much vitriol inside a person that they take it out on the rest of the world. And they do. And so what they do is their whole lives, they've been closeted. And so you have this like black ball inside yourself, this like blackened heart by the fact that you can't be who you want to be. And so you take it out on everybody else. And these men, largely men, have done exactly that. And everybody knows who they are. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you seen, speaking of that, I say that Trump is now in his deathbed.
No, let's talk about, I want to talk about Max Miller.
And to know why it's so important that this is coming out, I want to start with some recent reporting from CNN on this disgusting criminal Max Miller.
Yeah, Jim, this is supposed to be a safe Republican seat. Trump won it by 11 points in the last election, but Democrats are growing increasingly bullish that they can make this race competitive, given that these allegations are still in the media against Miller. Now, his opponent, Brian Poindexter, told me in a statement, quote, "These are serious allegations and they deserve the full attention of law enforcement. If all the allegations against Congress Miller prove to be true, Max Miller should be in jail, not worried about retaining a seat in Congress." Now, Miller has again denied these allegations and is confident.
If I was the Democrat running against this motherfucker, I'd be like, he can't be trusted around his wife and daughter. How can he be trusted to represent Ohio or wherever the bumfuck he is? Like, what? His wife and child have a restraining order on him. How can he represent our state or our district? Like, what the fuck is this?
And he can win re-election. In a statement from his campaign spokeswoman, Abigail Angelos, she said, quote, "The facts speak for themselves. The court has continued to permit him joint custody of his child. If there were credible evidence supporting these outrageous accusations, that simply would not be
That's not true.
the case. Congressman Miller will continue to
That is not true.
vigorously defend his reputation against false and reckless allegations designed to inflame public opinion rather than reflect reality. This narrative has gone on too long.
Okay, so Max Miller just should not be in Congress. He should be in jail. Let's make that clear right away. And that is not the extent of the horribleness that he's not in jail yet. What is an additional layer on top of all that is his father-in-law is Bernie Moreno, the Republican senator from Ohio, who hasn't said that he should resign or face consequences. It's truly crazy shit, but got even crazier with what Keith Edwards is sharing right here. Keith Edwards writes on Twitter, "Holy shit, Senator Bernie Moreno won't denounce his own son-in-law, Congressman Max Miller, who allegedly abused the senator's daughter and grandchild because she's secretly gay. He was caught having a profile on a male-for-male website," and I want to read what is being shared by Keith. The AP reports the Associated Press reported Thursday that someone with access to a work account for Ohio Republican Senate candidate Bernie Moreno created a profile in late 2008 on an adult website seeking casual sexual encounters with men. Data obtained by the AP shows that the account was authenticated by someone with access to Moreno's work email address roughly 2 minutes after it was created. Looking for young guys to have fun with, the AP used the unique account number obtained from the leaked data to retrieve additional information for the online profile from a publicly accessible data portal called an API. An adult friend finder's website showed that the account was created in late 2008 and used for roughly 6 hours. Beyond the work email, geolocation data indicates that the account was set up for the use in a part of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where property records show Moreno's parents owned a home at the time. The account's username, Nardo19672, appears to be a reference to Moreno's full first name, Bernardo, as well as the year and month of his birth in February 1967, and the profile itself, which remains viewable online, lists Moreno's correct birth date. Metadata obtained from Adult Friend Finder indicates the profile creator was interested in meeting men for one-on-one sex, stated they would prefer not to say what their marital status was, and declined to reveal their sexual orientation. Hi, looking for young guys to have fun with while traveling, reads a caption on the...
Blackmailing your father-in-law to keep quiet about abusing your wife and child. And it goes back to that poll saying how many Republicans would still support, or how many MAGA would still support the representative if they were involved with domestic violence. It was like over 70%. How many would still support a candidate or a representative if they were accused of, sexual assault? And it's like 70%. What do we do with them? How do we fix them? That is a problem. That is not okay. We can't have people thinking that our representatives, or that it's okay to assault people, assault your wife, assault your kids, and still have power. Like, what is this?
This is fucking wild, but pretty predictable if you pay attention to MAGA politics. Bernie Moreno is a slimeball. He was the guy chewing out Dr. Fauci. While he does not condemn his son-in-law, who has abused his daughter and his grandchild, it is wild. Mike Johnson, right now, also probably gay. In the great words of George Costanza, not that there's anything wrong with it. Well, there is actually something wrong with... Hold up. You know what I'm saying. With being a hypocrite about your sexuality and hurting other people to protect yourself, there's absolutely something wrong with that. Mike, if you want to come out and leave Congress and just, abandon the whole fucking weirdness, go for it, baby. Have a blast. Go down to, is it Fire Island? What's the place in Rhode Island? Anyways, have a blast. Pushing forward. Continuing on. Mike Johnson is clearly panicked over the Max Miller situation. He's tried to dismiss it. He's asked people to stop talking to him about it because he knows it threatens his majority. Not only right now, because this guy should have to resign. We've seen multiple members of Congress resign just this Congress, which... How fucking broken is our politics? Like, seriously? How broken is our politics? And there are many more people in Congress who should have to resign, but they feel entitled to their seats because they are bad people.
Okay, and here's a little update on this. All right. Bernie Moreno is calling for him to resign now. So this is updated. Justin... GOP Senator Bernie Moreno is calling on Representative Max Miller to resign after Miller's ex-wife, who is Senator Moreno's daughter, accused him of domestic violence. If there are any basic standards of character required to hold elected office, Max Miller fails them. He should not serve in the House of Representatives. I believe Max Miller needs to seek professional help and apparently it's a drinking issue. It's an alcohol issue. To help to end the clear pattern of abuse he has left in his wake. I believe he should not be free to continue endangering others until he does. Bernie Moreno. Max Miller says, if my daughter said the same thing to me, I personally wouldn't wait 2 years before holding him accountable. What is this? You know this isn't true, and the only reason you're speaking out now is to hide from your own media circus. This is all political. No, it's his daughter, my guy. It's his daughter. Like, I don't know. I don't care who you are. I'm gonna believe my daughter over you when it comes to, she telling me something like, oh, he threw boiling hot water at me. Okay.
People. So fundamentally, they're going to feel entitled. But of course, Mike Johnson is panicking over this. But I guess he's got the blackmail on Bernie Moreno, and everybody else does. So nothing.
And so that's what he means by media circus, because now it's like he's coming out, and everybody's like, "Oh, look at
things happening." It's just disgusting. Like that's the only way to talk about it. It is just disgusting. All of these criminals defending criminals, all of these pedos defending pedos, all of these shameless lying hypocrites defending other shameless lying hypocrites. And this should not be our Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we should be able to expect more than this. That, like, blackmail is being held over people's heads to get them to vote a certain way or not say a certain thing. That Max Miller gets to stay in Congress because his father-in-law is closeted and worried about people finding out. Like, that's why Ohio has to deal with, a criminal abuser representative. That is wild. This is not how things should work.
No, not at all.
It's why we got to get the moneyed interest out. It's why we got to get the people who can be blackmailed out. Like, Kristi Noem was a threat to national security because her husband was blackmailable. Oh, my God. I'm just tired of these people. They all need
Withdrawal
to be
deadline is
exposed,
Wednesday.
that did happen. When Jim Jordan went on CNN, someone we know loves a cover-up, and he was just dressed down.
I also want to ask you about something a little closer to home. There is a colleague of yours in the Ohio delegation, Max Miller, who is facing allegations of abuse from an ex-wife of the wife and his then toddler daughter. Do you think that Max Miller, who denies this abuse, should he resign from Congress in light of the accusations?
Look, this is a family matter. I know Max is a good man. I was up campaigning for him.
Family matter. I know Max is a good man, except for, his wife saying that she's threatened him with a gun and threw hot water on him and his daughter. Yeah, besides that, I campaigned for the guy.
Good job as a member of Congress, and we should all pray for his family. These are difficult times that they're going through. We understand that. These kind of situations always are. But Max is a good member and a colleague, and hopefully he's going to win re-election. But ultimately, in the end,
yeah, he hopes for a abuser, an alcoholic, to win election.
That's up to the voters in his district. But yeah, we were up helping Max just a few weeks ago at a campaign event up in his district in the northern part of our state.
So, it's just worth noting, the allegations include that Miller scalded his ex-wife's chest and stomach when he threw hot water at her, that he held a gun to her head, that he pushed her against a wall and hit her in the head, that he fractured their daughter's collarbone and bruised her shoulder, that his 2-year-old daughter reportedly told his ex-wife, quote, "Daddy,
Casey,
kill you." I want to play for you what you said when you were asked about Graham Plattner, who faced allegations of abuse. Let's watch what you told.
Yeah, I've not heard all this stuff.
Well, it was in the New York Times. It was in the New York Times. That's the list of allegations. It's been out there for a while. I just want to show you what you told Newsmax when you saw that Graham Plattner was facing these accusations. Watch.
That's always been the case with Democrats. It's all about maintaining power. They will take any crazy position as long as it furthers their ability to win elections and get power, and frankly to go against anyone who goes against President Trump.
Why does that not apply here to Republicans who want to keep power in the seat?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know the context of the question I was asked about Mr. Plattner, but my guess is it was about all the ridiculous positions he's taken.
The banner
It was
there
about
says
his
Plattner's ex-girlfriend
anti-Israel,
accuses him
the
of
Nazi,
abuse.
the Nazi tattoo, and everything else. Yeah, well, I don't know. I didn't.
God.
I don't know that I answered that question.
Just weak sauce, weak sauce, weak sauce.
Your own bigotry bites you and your cause right in the ass.
A Christian pastor in West Virginia has completely empty freezers at his food bank, which is so sad. But it's not because food is unavailable, it's because he rejected donations. And why did he reject them? Because some of the donors support LGBTQ people. Yeah, Pastor Alvin Christian, who opened up God's Storehouse Food Bank in Bluefield, West Virginia in 2023, reportedly helps feed up to 800 families a day. But in a now deleted video, which I have a copy of, he explained why that was the case.
Yeah, as you can see, our cupboards are empty, our freezers are empty. We have nothing in the warehouse as far as food-wise at this moment. But to let you know, the reason why we're in this position is because I've done some research. I made the phone calls. I talked to the proper people, and I asked the question, are y'all tied in or partners with LGBTQT, whatever, movement? And they said yes. I've done some more research and found out that they are part of the gay rights movement.
Yeah, he did some research, and he discovered that potential food suppliers often work with LGBTQ organizations. So he refused the food, let the people starve. He insisted he would never discriminate against LGBTQ people who needed food from him.
I just don't get, why would you get into the business of helping people only to not help people? Like, God loves everybody. Jesus tells us that we should help our neighbors. I'm going to go out and make a food pantry to help our poor neighbors. I'm just not going to accept food from LGBTQ people.
He just wasn't
Not
gonna
those
take
people?
it from them.
That's crazy.
Because, that's how exploding diarrhea happens. If you're insane, well, guess what? He doesn't have to turn LGBTQ people away now because his own bigotry has already ensured there's nothing to give anybody. What does he think happens when canned goods come from an LGBTQ-friendly organization? Does he think cereal makes somebody trans? Elvin portrays this as a courageous sacrifice, but he's not the one paying the price.
Yeah.
The hungry families who
His fridge is full.
rely on his food bank are. And when a critic told him this wasn't the message of Jesus, look how Alvin Christian responded.
It is my sincere prayer that God has mercy on your cancerous soul and the lives that you have negatively affected.
You must be gay.
Wait,
you must be gay.
That's the conclusion?
That's just what I feel that you are.
This guy's entire life is run by his imaginary gaydar. The sad thing is, this guy was doing something truly incredible. He was feeding the hungry, but now we find out he's willing to let them starve if it means gay cooties might enter his warehouse. The man is using Christianity as an excuse to avoid doing one of the most commendable things a Christian could do.
Screwed his whole operation over. Going to let the people in his community, 800 families a day, go without food because of his bigotry.
It's like, it doesn't make any sense. These people have no moral compass. They have no principles. They live off fear and bigotry. I think we've already covered that enough. Let's talk about James Federico.
Democratic U.S. Senate hopeful James Tallarico hosted 2 town halls with black communities in Dallas and Houston in July. They're a block of voters Tallarico will need if he hopes to flip a statewide office blue for the first time in 30 years. Some of Tallarico's black colleagues in the Texas House of Representatives have said publicly those votes are not guaranteed, especially the more than 1 million voters who chose Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett in the March primary. State Capitol correspondent Dylan McKim traveled to Nana's Kitchen in East Fort Worth. He spoke with a Crockett supporter who is not sold on Tallarico just yet.
We're at Nana's Kitchen here in East Fort Worth. 7 months ago, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett held a campaign event right here, where she was welcomed with open arms by Nana herself.
I like the fact that she took the time to come down to a small mom and pop like my establishment and actually ask the questions that were important to me. Y'all gonna dine in?
After hosting Crockett, Tasha Nana Ramsey turned her business into a hub for Crockett's yard signs and voter outreach.
Any voters over here?
The precinct where Nana's Kitchen is located was considered Crockett country. She received 697 Democratic votes in the March primary there, compared to Tallarico's 235. The Republican candidate, Ken Paxton, received only 80 votes in the same precinct. Tallarico has a Democrat's advantage to pick up more votes in these types of communities. But Nana says many may simply stay home in November.
None of the people that I talk to feel like he's our candidate. I've seen not one.
Now, Nana, let's be honest. That is not true, Nana. Hold on. 697. Okay. 697. Well, Nana, first of all, 697 is not a huge number. But 697, I think I gotta use Google for this one. Okay. What is 67% of 697? So, Nana, they ran a poll and they said that 67% of black voters that voted for Crockett would vote for James Tallarico. That's 466 people, Nana. 466 people said that they would vote for him. You're not being real honest, I don't think. No.
March primary there, compared to Tallarico's.
Not one who says that they're just gonna check the box for him.
You have the power to change it.
Well, you shouldn't just check the box for him. You should listen to him. You should hear what he's saying. You should see what he's going to do for the state, for the country, for the world, really. You should see what he's bringing to the table. He's a good Christian man. He wants to put in Christian values like healthcare for all. He wants to take on AI data centers. He wants to take on corruption. I have yet to hear a policy or comment that would dissuade them from voting for James Tallarico. Kind of just feels like, it's just the vibes. Like, yeah, I haven't heard anybody gonna vote for him. They haven't told me why they're not voting for him, but I haven't heard that they're gonna vote for him. It's like, all right, cool, but like, tell me. I can tell you why I'm not voting for Paxton. I'm not voting for Paxton because for somebody who makes $150,000 a year as a public servant to have 15 homes. That sounds corrupt as fuck. For a man who's being supported by Trump, that is definitely never get my vote. For a man who cheated on his wife and is currently living with a woman who is still married, that's definitely not getting my vote either, okay? But James Tallarico doesn't have nothing like that. So what is it? What policy What behavior? What about his candidacy do you not like, Nana?
Since his win, Tallarico has been hosting town halls, visiting churches and historically black colleges, and meeting with black community leaders.
I don't feel as though people have taken a chance to get to know James and look at his voting record.
He's also receiving support from some Democratic colleagues in the Texas House, like Christian Manuel, who originally supported Crockett. Manuel's advice for Tallarico is simple.
Just show up and listen.
Ask them, what do they want? What do they expect out of a candidate?
And Nana, that's why he had the town hall. That's what he did in Houston. That's what a town hall is, Nana. You go in and you ask him whatever you want to ask him, and he answers the questions. Okay?
He has to be concerned about what their concerns are.
Historically, black voters have swayed Democratic in Texas. In the 2024 Senate race, 84% of black voters supported the Democratic candidate, while only 12% supported the Republican candidate. Reporting in Fort Worth, I'm Dylan McKeown.
Dylan joins us now. You mentioned that historically the majority of black voters tend to vote Democrat. Why do voters feel James Tallarico is not their candidate?
Yeah, just to provide some proof here that Democrats hold an advantage over black voters here in Texas. A few polls have already been released that look at likely black voters. Fox News released a poll this week that said of likely black voters, 87% said they'd vote for Tallarico over.
87%! This is not even an argument, bro. He wins with 80% of the black vote. He wins with 60% of the fucking Mexican vote. He wins with only 30% of the fucking white evangelicals. Like, are you kidding me? This is such a non-fucking story. Now, he said 87%. I think it's 67%. But what? Let's confirm.
A few polls have already been released that look at likely black voters. Fox News released a poll this week that said of likely black voters, 87% said they'd vote for Tallarico.
What is 87%? So Nana, of your 697 friends and family who live in your district and voted for Jasmine Crockett, 606 are gonna vote for James Tallarico, hun. All right. So who are you talking about? The 91 people? You're talking to all 91 people who are not gonna vote for James Tallarico? Is that what you're doing? But hey, you know what? If you want him to talk to you more, I can hear that. I can understand that. We have 93 days for you to listen to him more. Yeah, because he's doing a lot of talking. He's doing a lot of handshaking. He's doing rallies and stuff like that. So go ahead, go see him talk. Go join a virtual with him. Talk to some of his supporters like me. Okay? Get some more data, more information in there. And then come November, come 93 days, see what you think. See what you think would be better. Supporting the Democratic candidate who wants to do Christian things like ensure people have health care and affordability and to end data centers, or you're gonna want Paxton to win? Which one, Nana?
Rico over Paxton. And then last month in a New York Times Siena poll, 80% said that they would vote for Tallarico over Paxton. So of course he has this advantage. The real question comes is, are these voters going to show up in November in support for Tallarico?
You just read a poll. You read two polls. You read two fucking polls that said they would vote for Tallarico over Paxton. Now, yes, there might be a question about getting them to the polls, okay? That might be a question, but every day, every day, something happens. Oh, I live here. This is where I live. Every day, something happens directly tied to and caused by the Republican Party that is negative. Whether it be they're sticking up for the Tate brothers, sex traffickers, Donald Trump lying about an end to the Iran war, uh, Max Miller of the GOP facing the consequences of him abusing his wife. Like, at some point, you have to say, hey, there is one side that is truly full of deplorables. And then there's other side who's full of people who want things like Medicare for all and affordable housing. I'm not going to necessarily change sides or join up with their side, but when it comes to voting, I'm going to vote for the side that wants like Medicare for all and affordable housing. And I'm not going to choose a side that wants to defend pedophiles, defend abusers, and use our money to have endless wars in the foreign country. Like that that seems like an easy choice to me.
You asked the question, what do these voters, they say that, at least when we're talking about Jasmine Crockett voters, that they don't view Tallarico as their candidate. I think a lot of it comes down, Josh, to them not fully understanding his resume or just have a firm grasp of his record as a politician, as a legislator in the Texas legislature. For example, I spoke to that woman that we saw, the restaurant owner in Fort Worth, and she told me she likes Jasmine so much, Congresswoman Crockett, because of her ability to go and fight for a cause. I mean, she makes those viral clips where you see her in committee hearings, and she's ready to pick a fight, and she's ready to stand up for what she believes in. They like that about her. Now, from having a close eye on the Texas legislature, we know that James Tallarico is usually the first one at the back mic of the Texas House of Representatives when an issue on education is coming up or of healthcare. He's always back there to ask questions, to challenge bills such as putting the Ten Commandments in classrooms, to challenge the Texas Education Freedom Accounts. So he is what would some consider a fighter. He did fight back against these Republican policies, but people just haven't seen that and maybe haven't taken the time to actually do the research to see him.
I know you also spoke with Democratic State Representative Synfronia Thompson from Houston. She's the longest serving African American woman legislator in Texas history. What was her message to voters who are thinking of staying home this election?
She has told me that she believes James Tallarico is someone that she can trust to pick up the baton and finish the race here and fight for what Democratic Texans, for Texans all over, will believe in. What she has said, and what I hope that all of our legislators, lawmakers in the state say, is that people at least go out to vote. Don't let this sort of loss, if your candidate, the one that you wanted to win in March, did not prevail, don't let that, out of spite, not go vote in November. Because there still are issues on the table. She talked to us about it. We have a little soundbite I want to play for our guests here to show what she was saying about the idea of maybe some people not showing up in November to vote.
And I'm concerned about everyday life issues that impact our people. And I don't want to pick up my marbles and go home, but I want to be able to take my marbles and put them in a little pot with everybody else and see whether or not that we can bring some benefits to everybody in Texas. Black, brown, white, yellow, purple, whatever nationality they may be. And to make this a great state that it is, and to keep it as a great state, and to keep improving in our state in every capacity that we possibly can to make life a better place to which to live. I would like to say that voting is very important. It is the one power that we have in this country. And I'm hoping that those persons who are upset because their candidate didn't win would think about it again and think about it more objectively.
I think we have to mention, like, it's so important for people just to go out and vote, whether it's for Tim Paxton, whether it is for James Talarico. Make sure.
Fuck that. No. Hell no. If you're voting for Ken Paxton, you're voting for a continuation of support for Trump. You're voting for a continuation of support for Israel. You're voting for a continuation of support for a war in the Middle East that is costing us billions of dollars, American lives, Iranian lives, Israeli lives, Yemenis lives. You're costing us thousands of dollars at the pump. What is it? Insanity is doing the same thing, consistently doing the same thing and expecting different results. Yeah, that's crazy. That's nuts, right? Voting for Republican and expecting things to get better. Yeah, that is insanity.
That you do have your voice heard. As Ms. Thompson said, don't pick up your marbles and go home.
All right, Dylan McKim, thanks for the insight. It's called concrete cancer, and it's affecting thousands of pools in Texas. The lawsuits and legislation to address the problem.
All right. What else are we going to talk about? That's funny. Oh, yeah, this is one.
Daria Lisa Avila Chevalier had this great answer on Pix 11 about why standing against genocide is important and standing up against Israel's genocide is important for voters. We're seeing how DSA electeds are changing the conversation and filling a vacuum about this issue. Zoran Mamdani was key when he said in that debate with Andrew Cuomo that he believes Israel has a right to exist as a state of equal rights, meaning pointing out that it's an apartheid system in Greater Palestine, essentially, Greater Israel, whatever. I mean, that's how the Zionists would refer to it, but the West Bank is almost entirely under Israeli control. Gaza is fully under blockade and an open-air concentration camp under their control. And so do those people under their control get to live with full political rights? And that, I think, set the ball in motion for people to start talking about this issue in a way that reflects the reality. And the fact that she frames this here in this context for the American voter is another step in the right direction of just getting more honesty out there in the public discourse, and with leadership from politicians doing that, because unfortunately activists and shows like ours can only do so much. It's important that political leaders say things like this, and this is, I really, really loved how Daria Lisa framed this.
You know, there are a number of bills that I'll sign on to on day one, and one of them is the Block the Bombs Act, because I do believe that what's happening is a genocide, and I believe that it's a moral injury to the American people that our tax dollars are being used to enact this genocide.
Simple as that. Like, why would we want our tax dollars to be used to go bomb women and children? Like, can we just keep our again, there's just something we just don't have to do. Just don't do it. Stop sending the money there. Keep it here. Everybody's fucking happy.
And so I think this plays out in every single policy decision that we will make, right? If you value life, that is going to reflect in how you think about health policy. That's going to play out in how you think about housing. That's going to play out in how you think about childcare. And so if you cannot stand against a genocide, right, it makes me wonder whether you can stand for the things that working people in this country need, whether that's healthcare, housing, a Green New Deal. All of those things are deeply important to the American people. You know,
what that answer encompasses is the, I think, under-discussed frustration and lack of agency that our politicians have placed upon us, given the level of corruption from the military-industrial complex and the Zionist lobby. But then it extends, as she mentions, to a variety of different issue sets. But, like, what that... we should be constantly foregrounding Palestinian pain as they're in the midst of the genocide. And even I don't even like to sometimes overemphasize issues that relate to Westerners within this context, because it seems so navel-gazy and small potatoes compared to, you know, the children with no limbs and the carcinogenic chemicals in Gaza that are going to impact people for the rest of their lives, and the thousands and thousands of dead.
Yeah, because they're still being bombed and they're still being killed. We don't even know, like, what inhaling all of the dust from their homes and their fucking villages is doing to their to the inside. You know, one of the reasons we still had a 9/11 fund was for the first responders and for the people who cleaned up 9/11 afterwards. They inhaled a bunch of carcinogenic shit. And they were still doing with that. And oh, you know who cut that fund? Trump.
And accounted for in the trauma and all of that. Like, but from an American politician's context, to talk about the moral injury of her constituents and other people who have had to pay their taxes, have tried to implore their representatives to use the tax dollars that they give to the federal government in a way that matches their values. Like, what that does to the psyche of a population is also quite relevant when we're talking about democracy and when we're in a moment of fascism. The individuals in this country that oppose the genocide and yet are still paying taxes to support it are being put in a completely impossible moral context where they're unable to exact agency or have control over their own government in a supposed democracy. And what that does in this very acute sense is, I think, traumatize people's experience with political participation.
Yep.
Or make it a lot more fraught.
To be fair, I think that the people who voted for Trump and voted for more wars and gas prices to go up and to defend people like Andrew Tate, to be fair, I think there should be a little bit of trauma there. I think you should feel bad for voting for, in my opinion, the worst fucking worst 2 years of my life. Like, this has been nothing but bad news upon worse news upon, like, people are dying news, you know? Like, Spokane, Washington. Spokane, like, climate hoax, right? Climate hoax, right?
Tonight, Spokane, Washington is a city under siege. Explosive wildfires have destroyed...
Green New Scam. Remember the Green New Scam? Climate hoax.
Many of them within the city limits. The fast-moving...
Y'all see this? These are houses on fire. We have cities on fire, and people still want to say it's a climate hoax. We are funding a foreign country that helps destroy entire villages and families with 2,000-pound bombs.
And so when you're able to talk about it in those terms,
this is what they voted for. And we're paying the repercussions. So I'm hoping they feel traumatized by these repercussions. I'm traumatized by these motherfucking repercussions. But I hope they take some of this trauma and either vote right or just don't vote. Like, you don't have to go to the polls. Like, let us take care of it. Be a passenger princess. Let us get you to your destination safely, making sure you have adequate health care, adequate public transportation, adequate housing. Let us take the wheel, okay? And you just hang out there, fucking watch your terrible movies and go to your Kid Rock concerts. Like, just go do that, okay? Go roll in the mud, whatever you like. Let us do the hard stuff, like, end wars and have Medicare for all and bring down the cost of housing. Let us do that, and you go off and mud wrestle.
I don't know, it's a new angle, I guess, to making sure that people know why this issue is so galvanizing. And, I'm not a spiritual person myself, but for people that are, I don't know, and even for people like myself who aren't, but still see these arguments in the way that I view my spirituality, which is that we are all connected and that our pain is all shared, that,
I like that. I like to think that we all feel the same way and we all are connected, and the more people that we help out, the better all of us are. Definitely feel that. The problem is the selfish people who don't feel that way.
does, I think, impact people's civic engagement, their positivity about the future, their belief in their community, their belief in America. You want to engender patriotism and flag waving, it's not like doing this. Moral injury. It's just a new way to talk about this. And
yeah, sending billions of dollars to Israel in a pointless war in the Middle East doesn't fill me with patriotic pride. Does not fill me, and I'm not the only one. I'm in the majority of this issue. I'm in the majority of a lot of these issues. We're only talking about 20 or 30% nowadays. That's why I'm streaming less. I'm just like, I feel like everybody is feeling it now. You can't. I want to know. I need to go to like a normie person's TikTok. I want to go to a normie person's TikTok and I want to see like how far I have to scroll before I get like some bad news that is directly tied and caused by the Republican Party. I bet you I won't have to scroll long.
And when we're so starved for anything honest about Zionism from our elected representatives, to see DSA and our neighbors here in New York and the DSA electeds do that, it's inspiring for me. And Zoran, even with this Netanyahu thing, like it's being framed in the press as if he couldn't deliver on arresting Netanyahu. Gotcha. No one cares. They are just happy that he tried and that he stood up and said what everyone wants to hear about Benjamin Netanyahu being a war criminal. Who do you think people are going to trust more? The guy that wants to arrest Netanyahu but can't? Or the 95% of others in our government who are too cowardly to say that kind of thing and won't even try?
The truth is, like, this is part of the same global reactionary project. It's a similar project. I mean, this is why Israel and South Africa have. Had a whole bunch of connections. It's why when October 7th happened, the Friedman, the Israeli diplomat, went on Dave Rubin to say, you know, what you need to do is militarize your borders more. It is a global fascist movement, and we are all a part of it, even if some people are more directly harmed by it than others. This is a many versus the few, conspiring evil few, and that is just objective reality.
Here is a Fox News freak out when Bill de Blasio decides to defend Zoran Mamdani here. These guys are supposed to be Bill Hemmer and Dana Perino, nonpartisan. Hey, Dana, you look so good at lunch. They're supposedly the less partisan daytime people, and like, laugh along with me. I mean, Dana Perino literally worked for Bush, so it's silly, but this is actually more editorializing than I see from Hemmer and Perino on a regular basis, and it's shocker. It's for on Israel's behalf.
He knew he didn't have the authority to arrest Netanyahu, but went out and said it anyway. And was that all political theater?
I mean, I'm sorry. Would Trump ever go out and say that he could do something and never do it? I'm going to end the war in Ukraine on day one? That's just off the top of my head. Okay.
The fact that Netanyahu is literally a war criminal. This guy's policies led to the deaths of tens of thousands of Palestinian children. And that defines a war crime to me and to so many people around the world.
Are you the defining factor? Like, are you the authority?
The international
what is a war criminal?
Court, look, the International Criminal Court should mean something.
We're not a party to it.
It still should mean something to the entire world. Because this is, look, what do you call
I'm sorry.
a leader?
Dana Perino bragging about how the United States exempted itself from the International Criminal Court, so people like the war criminals that she worked for in the Bush administration wouldn't have to be party to it. I mean, that was around the time that Bush made that determination not to be party to it was first Clinton, then Bush, but to be party to the Rome Statute. It was to protect Israel, and it was also to protect U.S.-based war criminals like her former boss. So as she gets hysterical about it, she's like literally like hysterical about the fact that the United States should not be held to an exceptional standard. It's like, it like blows her mind.
What do people mean by Western civilization? Like Elon Musk going on and on about it. Like, it should be these things like, well, that's exactly right. They're too ashamed, all these cockroaches are too ashamed to say white supremacy or whiteness or white culture or white, civilization. That's what they mean. They don't mean Western culture. Like,
yeah.
Like Elon.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
Mass evacuations and chaos as families fled their homes. Hundreds of firefighters are battling to save what they can. Right now, there are nearly 90 large wildfires burning across the West. Oregon also feeling the heat. There you can see the U.S. Air Force is helping guide drops of retardant. Fires across the Pacific Northwest have burned nearly 2 million acres and more than 5 million acres nationwide. CBS's Adam Yamaguchi leads off our coverage tonight in Los Angeles. Adam.
Good evening, Tarika. Officials say the 3 Spokane area fires have burned nearly 5,400 acres in the worst fire season in the state in 30 years. Fierce wildfires are raging on residential streets in eastern Washington state. Fire crews and residents in Spokane encountering apocalyptic scenes. Fast-moving flames tearing through neighborhoods and engulfing one house after another.
Look at that. Holy moly.
Fire officials say flames jumped the Spokane River. the towering walls of black and orange smoke swallowing the suburban skyline.
Oh no.
Donalda Brantley recorded this video as she and her boyfriend evacuated their neighborhood with only the clothing on their backs.
You could just hear like fire and just popping of just explosions, it sounded like, of like other fires going on. And then there's like power lines that we heard that had fallen or something. And so there's just so much going on. It was very frightening.
Justin DeRider is with Spokane Fire.
We've got trees down, we've got gas lines still flowing, we've got water lines still flowing. We still got a lot of work to do.
Firefighting planes can be seen dropping water and retardant to contain the blaze. The scorched landscape visible by air. Wildfires fueled by strong winds, dry air, and high temperatures. Thousands forced to evacuate after warnings from the National Weather Service yesterday, issuing their most urgent fire alert. Tom Stokesbury is coordinating fire efforts for the state.
This is still a current active firefight. We have a lot of firefighters on the ground. We're working really hard to keep these three fires, in their current footprint.
More than 600 structures have been lost. Another 5,000 threatened.
It's probably the hardest day in my 31 years at Spokane Fire Department. Keep our firemen, our police officers, and everybody else in your prayers.
Now, some relief may be on the way as winds taper off tomorrow, but warm, dry conditions persist throughout the week. Dorika, this fire season is far from over.
Adam Yamaguchi in Los Angeles, thank you. Turning now to wildfires in Greece, where it has been a deadly day. Today, 2 firefighting helicopters collided near Athens, sending one of them crashing to the ground. The 2-person crew was killed. The other helicopter crew survived. For more on the wildfire danger here and record heat threatening more than 50 million Americans, let's get right to meteorologist Andrew Kozak with the latest. Andrew.
Yeah, Dorika, not to mention the nearly 40 million people under flood watches out east. More on that in just a sec, but tonight I want to start with the wildfires, of course. Out west with the smoke, we have critical fire danger for places like Salt Lake City, Montana, over towards Spokane, Washington. This continues into your Monday and beyond. That wildfire smoke not letting up anytime soon with a strong wind. The reason why these nearly 90 fires have been so difficult to fight, gusty winds, low humidity, and parched grasses and vegetation, and it may be a while before we get any meeting.
Just a recipe for wildfires. Let's see. Crazy Twitter lefties? What?
Congress recently passed the biggest housing bill in decades. The House vote was 358 to 32, and the Senate vote was 85 to 5. So we are talking bipartisan. President Donald Trump, who ran on affordability, he called the whole thing a big yawn and then just refused to sign it. That bill, of course, still became law without him. And now the same administration that promised to make housing cheaper is continuing to remove a huge share of the people who are actually going to build said houses. Whoopsie! Now, the 21st Century Road to Housing Act cleared Congress in June with a veto-proof majority and automatically became law on July 10th after Donald Trump basically sat on it. And he sat on it because the Senate wouldn't pass his Save America voter suppression bill. Compared to Save America, he told reporters just about everything else is a big yawn. You know, that affordable housing, who cares? Nobody needs it. Now, the bill itself is mostly process stuff aimed at increasing the supply by making building a little bit easier. It also caps large corporate landlords that already own at least 350 single-family homes from buying more. It also loosens rules on manufactured housing so that builders could save on construction costs.
Wait. It prevents private equity from buying more than 350 homes now, but it doesn't make them sell? That's so stupid.
So it's all like supply side, right? Not exactly the greatest.
Yo, and this would all be easier if they just did the Mamdani tax. It's like, if you don't live in your second home, you get taxed extra. And property taxes aren't even that crazy, okay? What are the property tax averages in all states? Okay. Bruh. Bruh. Texas is the highest. Ha 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 ha. I just want state. Stop, Oliver. Oliver, stop. $7,500 is the top tax. Property tax. Do you pay that monthly? Can you pay that monthly? Can you pay your property tax monthly? Oliver, stop. Prepayment. If you use mortgage escrow account enrolling prepayment plan. Yeah, okay. 4 equal installments without any penalty. Yeah, cool. What are we talking about? Why are these people bitching? They say we need to lower property taxes? Bruh. Bruh. That's nothing. That's not... $1,000 is not preventing me from fucking owning a home. $1,000, $2,000 is not preventing me from owning a home. Okay? What the fuck?
Bill for sure, but you know, it's something, right? Unlike most of the legislation passed by the GOP, it actually actively isn't out there trying to hurt people. Even White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt hailed this as one of the most significant pieces of housing legislation in American history. I wouldn't go that far. That said, that's until the boss decided that his signature was going to be used as leverage for a separate, completely separate voting fight. So I want to give you the material reality in this, okay? According to the National Association of Home Builders, immigrants, you know, the people Donald Trump's trying to kick out of the country, they made up 26.3% of the entire U.S. construction workforce in the year 2024. Among the construction trades in particular, foreign-born workers are about a third of that labor force. So let's break this down further. The drywall and ceiling tile installers, 57% of them happen to be born in other countries. Plasterers and stucco masons, about 56%. Roofers, 53%. Painters, 53%. Carpet, floor, and tile installers, 51%. Construction laborers, 43%. Carpenters, 35%. And in California, immigrants are 42.1% of the entire construction workforce. In Florida, 40.6%. And in Texas, 39%. Immigrants make up a huge portion of the nation's labor force, especially in construction, which is right now in massive need. Associated builders and contractors say the industry needs about 349,000 net new workers this year alone.
Damn.
Associated General Contractors 2026 Outlook found 82% of firms already have.
The White House knows this, and you fucking bitch. Get off, get off, get off, get off. And they are talking about White House H2 visa expansion. The administration announced a temporary rule to add 64,716 jobs. Guest worker visa for year 2026. That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. These are literally, you don't even need a high school, I think a high school diploma for these jobs. Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Filling their hourly craft jobs. And immigration enforcement over a 6-month window has hit about a third of all construction firms. So the federal government passed a law that says, roughly, let's build more houses, let's increase the supply. While the immigration policy is literally shrinking the very workforce that is supposed to do it. You know, we kind of have a word for this dichotomy. Stupid. Look, you can't sit there and deport the workers and then act surprised when the houses do not magically appear. And you're not going to see a lot of American workers fill those jobs for several reasons. Number one being the lower pay. Look, even legal immigrants, people with permission to live and work here, happen to be afraid to leave their homes and go to the job site. At least one Alabama Trump-supporting contractor watched his crews disappear because of ICE raids. In South Texas, building suppliers and contractors, who backed this very agenda, by the way, are watching their job sites empty out and their sales collapse. One 3-time Trump voter construction owner described watching his workers, people that he called his friends, get too afraid to show up, even when their papers were actually fine. Here's the thing. The Federal Reserve has been linking construction shortages to housing cost pressure for years. When crews thin out, projects don't get done. When projects don't get done, obviously the inventory stays tight. And when the inventory's tight, housing costs, well, they don't go down, they go up. I mean, this is very obvious supply and demand here.
Yeah, but we're actually in... We actually have plenty of supply. Besides New York City and like LA, there is plenty of supply. Okay, new house, cost to buy a new house is less than to cost a house that's 30 years old. All right? We are actually probably going to see a crash. I've been saying it for a while, but here we are. There are definitely signs regarding a crash coming up.
Of course, the official story from the...
I have started seeing more foreclosures and more people selling their houses for letting it go for less than what they bought it for.
Right wing is always the same.
Taking the
loss.
loss.
Crack down on immigration. And the American workers, they'll move in, they'll get the dream jobs and the wages and the American dream, and everything will be hunky-dory. After all, the argument here is that it's the immigrants that are buying up all the housing and driving up the price and displacing Americans. And of course, their solution is to kick out the poorest immigrants who couldn't afford that housing anyway. Yeah, that obviously does nothing about the price. All you get are delayed subdivisions, terrified documented workers, and a president who holds housing laws hostage over ridiculous election bills, while calling the very affordability crisis that ushered him into the White House in the first place a yawn. Look, I'm not saying this bill would have solved any of these problems. Supply-side policies cannot make rents affordable to the lowest income people. However, expanding rental assistance while boosting that supply, that actually is a comprehensive plan. Along with boosting the rights of tenants, of course, investing in homelessness prevention programs, as well as helping existing homeowners that may be facing hardships. You know, like inflation, higher gas prices, higher energy prices, all that stuff. All those things done together would absolutely help affordability when it comes to homes. You know what doesn't help? Kicking the people out who are literally building those homes. Look, here's the thing. We all want there to be a legal, immigration pathway to citizenship, okay? Unless, of course, you're a white supremacist who thinks that immigrants poison the blood of the country.
There are
What if you
those.
said that?
The 20 to 30%. The 20 to 30%.
Look, You can also hate, by the way, big corporate and foreign landlords buying up starter homes in cash and turning them into rentals. I know I do. I know I do. But what you cannot do is to sit there and demand millions of more housing units while systematically thinning the labor pool that builds them. The math on that, it don't math. Look, I know, MAGA's not very good at math. Which is the whole point. Look, if you want to solve real problems with real solutions, I am with you. But if you want to do racist scaremongering while blocking bills that at least attempt to do something, then I'm not interested in helping. Because you were never interested in helping us. Now, if you appreciated this breakdown, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, consider supporting us on Patreon or through our channel's membership program. And thank you so much for watching.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, y'all. I appreciate you.
You haven't heard much about Mike Collins because he's not doing very well in Georgia.
That is it for me. I have no plans this week besides Anna. Anna is back in Austin as of Wednesday. I think she will want me to go out with her at least one night. So maybe I think we'll go do dinner and then dancing on Saturday. But then I'll stream Thursday, Friday, Sunday. Y'all. Keep your head high. We have a future. We know what the future looks like. Medicare for all, cheaper housing, and just like away from all this war, death, and measles outbreaks. Just go back to normalcy. Focus on the health of our citizens, and then we'll all be in a better place. But we got to get through Trump first. Still got to fight. Not there yet. Almost there. Not there yet. Good night.